Epilogue. When I came home that August, one of my first visitors was Grandma Johnson. She said, "You sure look better than you should, considering what life has done to you." I had regained a lot of lost weight and well on the road to recovery. I also realized I needed to get my finances in order. First off, I had received 21 crisp $10 bills from Uncle Sam when I left the hospital in Chicago. Second, it was time for the Army to settle accounts with me regarding my back pay. An infantry private was paid $50 per month, but I had anticipated no need of that much cash while I was in uniform. Therefore, up front I had arranged for $25 to be deducted monthly to purchase a war savings bond. During my recuperation, I had been retroactively promoted to corporal, which added an additional $10 per month to the total. When all figures came back, I netted around $1,000 back pay, leaving me, going forward, with a nice nest egg and a $35 total gross monthly income. For the first time in my life, I had real money in my wallet. When I got off the train in Wittenberg, it was a bewilderingly sum for a farm kid in 1945, but I knew exactly what to do with it. The day after I got home, I went to the jewelry store in town and used the bulk of it to buy Elaine an engagement ring. After 2 wonderful, way too short months of furlough at home, my orders arrived. I was to report to Florida for recuperation and therapy on my arm that was still giving me lots of problems. I wanted to marry Elaine and take her with me, but my mother refused to grant consent. In her way of thinking, I may have had a little cash, but not enough to support a wife. I'm a thrifty man, and I thought that $35 a month was more than enough to start our life together. But Elaine's parents, especially her mother, would have none of it. The sad part was that the Woolers were wrong. Elaine and I could have lived high off the hog in Florida. When I got my combat infantry badge at the end of September, it proved to be a ticket to the first-class treatment. Wherever I went, I felt like a king. Whatever I wanted, it was there for me. The living quarters, the food, the fanfare were, in words, wonderful. We were housed in Miami Beach Hotel that Uncle Sam had commandeered and turned over to the Army for the care of POWs. We had first-class maid service, excellent food, fantastic beach views, a golden sunset, and constant expressions of appreciation from a grateful nation. It was quite a leap for a country boy who had just spent a year and a half eating from garbage cans and sleeping in barns. Had Elaine been there, it would have been perfect. It was during my hospital recuperation I heard from some of my comrades. One very special one to me was Johnny Carr, my Company A buddy who had so bravely collected the wounded and dead back to the Rapido River surrender. He told a remarkable tale. It was one of the unfortunate POWs who was liberated by the Russians. We were so happy at first, but then they treated us like enemies instead of allies. When it looked like they weren't going to ever let go, I decided to escape. I knew the British controlled the other side of the river, near where we were held, so supposed to say I took the plunge. Literally, lucky for me, I found my freedom by swimming across that river to the welcoming arms of the British. It took me 4 months, but excellent medical care, visits from family and friends, newsy letters, and get-well cards worked their magic. By the end of August, I was declared rehabilitated and ready to report for duty. I took a train, this time a relatively comfortable and relaxing ride to Camp Stoneman, California, where I was put in charge of a POW barrack for guys coming home from the Pacific. It was there that I learned firsthand how some of the POWs had it a lot worse than I did. They had been prisoners of the Japanese, an enemy who practiced a special brand of cruelty in American captives that I did not have to endure. Suffice it to say, life in California was grand. I had my own room, work was easy, and I cruised to the finish line. I was honorably discharged on November 11th, 1945, and went home to my family and Elaine. We were married June 1, 1946. I put the scrapbook in a drawer in our buffet and did not look at it much over the years. In fact, we had almost forgot it existed until the subject of this book came up. I wish now I had told my mother more often how much her letters, packages, and prayers, not to mention her keeping that priceless record of my World War II experience, meant to me. When Anna Johnson died unexpectedly in 1952, she was only 54, the victim of an embolism that took her life like a thief in the night. She was an amazing woman, and I still think of her almost every day. As is often the case, at her funeral I found out things about her I never knew. The most interesting to me was that in order to pay for those Red Cross packages she had sent me while I was a POW, she got a job picking green beans. It was back-breaking, piecework labor, usually reserved for migrant workers or teenagers. The man who told me the story said he was about 16 when he'd work alongside her, and that she usually picked double what everyone else did, picking in a bushel basket while the rest of the pickers used pails. While he had complimented her on her skill one day, she had quietly told him she was motivated. Like I said, my mother was something special. I understand that a famous news anchor named Tom Bradcaw wrote a book saying, I, Gerald Johnson, am a member of the greatest generation. Not in my opinion. Not by a long shot. He never met my mother.